Hello, and welcome to the Gel Printed Christmas Tree online workshop. This is a single video workshop where I'll show different techniques to create abstract gel printed Christmas trees. At the end of the video, I'll show you how you can take those beautifully printed trees and enhance them further with just some simple dots from your painting. This is really fun because we make our own stencils using cardstock. They're easy to make, very affordable, and you can get different results based on simple things like the simple placement of where you put these strips to create your trees. You can enhance them further by using decorative scissors to get a really fun and interesting edge on your tree, or you can make completely different stencils, and I'll show you that technique as well. It's very fun, and the results are stunning. They can be used for Christmas gift tags, or if you form them into a cluster. I like to use them on my journal pages. I think they make a beautiful header. So let's get started. So now for this technique, you'll need your gel plate. They come in many sizes. These are just a few of the sizes. You can get them large, you can get them round, you can get them square. I like these unusual sizes because I tend to make little objects, and so these sizes are perfect for various things. This is about 3.5 by 6.5 inches, and this is the plate I'm going to use today. All of them come packaged with 2 pieces of plastic, one on either side, to preserve the integrity of the plate. And it doesn't matter which plate you use to do this technique because I'm making a particular size. This is handy, but the technique can be altered to fit whatever size plate you have or that you're interested in purchasing. Another thing that I like to purchase that does not come with the plate is a little piece of plexiglass. I bought this at the hardware store. I just had them cut it for me. I had them cut it for the largest size I thought I'd use for these particular gel prints. So for this gel plate, this is far bigger than I need, but that's perfect. Works out beautifully. So to use the gel plate, I just take one piece of plastic off, put my gel plate down onto my plexiglass, and then I peel the other piece of plastic. And I set these aside because after I clean the plate and put it away, I'm going to need these as well. Now for today's technique, my papers I cut to fit just slightly larger than my gel plate. And to make it easier for me to see the gel plate, because when it's covered with paint and other papers, which we're going to use today, I like to just put a piece of paper underneath it and then just line it up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but pretty darn close is good enough. So I have a stack of papers that are cut just to be the size of the gel plate, and this is what I'm going to print on. I also want to make some stencils. Now you can use standard stencils, like your plastic stencils you use for other uses. But I want a particular shape in mind. I want to make a tree. So to do that, I'm going to start with the most basic tree, which is just a triangle. And because I want to be able to vary the angle and the size, I just use some strips of paper. So I'll have 2 here, and then 1 for the bottom. So that's just a standard triangle tree, a little abstract. If I want to go a little more fancy, I'll take this and just cut a little notch for the base of the tree. So I just sketch that out kind of in the center of one of these strips. And I always keep extra strips handy for that. And then I'll just take my scissors and cut that notch. Now, if you want a slight variation that's very easy to do with those strips, just use some decorative scissors. It gives a different effect. This one will be a scalloped tree. And so I have that just like that. And I can always substitute in the bottom with the notch, or I can cut a notch in this one. So that gives me 2 types of trees. I also want a little more advanced technique where I'm going to be cutting my own stencils. So here I've already cut some. I can show you what they look like. I just took a piece of cardstock, the size of my gel plate, and cut a stencil in the shape of a tree. And these are very abstract and very fun. Now let me show you how I do these as well. And they can be ornate or they can be smaller. So to do this, I'm using this pink because I think it shows up better on camera to have just something to distinguish it. The first step in making my template is just to make sure that my paper is the correct size. And then over here, I'll sketch out the tree. Now on this one, I'm going to make a double tree. So I'll make 2 trees so that I can make 2 gift tags. Since I like my trees to be symmetrical, I just quickly fold it down the center and I can just sketch on one side of the tree. So now I'm going to cut out these shapes. And I can see over here that this tree is a little strange looking. So I'll just play around with changing that a little bit more. So there I have my 2 trees that I want to make a template for. So I'll take another piece of paper, the one that fits right over here, and now I'll trace the trees, and then with an X-Acto knife, I'll cut them out. So there I have my stencil with the double trees here. And now I'm ready to start my gel printing. So to do this, I start by selecting my colors, and I love to use craft paint. This is just very inexpensive. It comes in gorgeous colors, and I like the untraditional colors. So I'll use pinks and turquoises and greens and yellows, just fun colors. I like to use a non-glossy paint, so I'll use matte or the satin finish. You can play around using whatever types of paint you want. You can even use watercolor, but I find for the paper templates, the craft paint, it makes a better fit. I like to use a brayer to spread my paint onto my gel plate. You can use a brush if you don't have a brayer, or even like a credit card, but the brayer just gives a nicer result. I like to add a little paint to my gel plate, and this is where you get a feel for how much paint you actually need. It's really trial and error based on the gel plate. So I just use a few drops here, and then I just brayer my pigments right onto that plate. So from there, I'll take this and create the most basic tree. So I have my base, and then I'll just play around by adding my little papers here. And I get a very basic Christmas tree, just what you see exposed. So from here, I'll take a piece of paper, try and line it up on the gel plate, and then I just burnish it with my finger. You can use your brayer again if you want, but I want to get a nice image here. Burnish it a few times, and then when I peel up the image, I get a beautiful beginning image. You can leave it just like it is. You can add paint again, maybe right to your gel plate and press it over. But I like to let this dry and then maybe add some dots using some fun colors onto the tree. We'll do that at the end of the video. So for now, I'll just remove these pieces. This is what they look like on the underside. Once they dry, they're good to go again. They're just a little fragile. Well, they're still wet. And then I just take a wet baby wipe, or even a paper towel or a cotton towel that's wet with water, and I just clean my plate. I don't want to use anything pointy or anything chemical on my plate. Now the marks you see are the marks that are stained onto the plexiglass. They're not on the plate. So now I'm ready to create another image, and I'll do that this time using my strips that have the pinking shears. So I added different colors this time, green, yellow, and pink. I'll just brayer them all over the plate. You can clean your brayer in between or just use it to blend out the colors together. It's really the fun of doing it. Is your choice what you want to do with that. I kind of like just that look. So now I'm just going to make my triangle, my tree shape here. Trying not to place and replace the strips to make the tree, because every time I place it, it picks up the pigment. So I want that to be as pristine as it can be. So again, I take my paper and burnish. And I get another beautiful tree shape. Very abstract and very fun. I'll clean my plate, add some paint, and we'll start using our stencils. So this time I used two blues, a deep blue and a light blue. I'll put my template down, again, trying not to move it around too much. And now I'll just burnish it right on that paper. And there's the tree. And just so you can see, this is what the underside looks like of the template, the little stencil that we made. So here I've done a yellow and pink. I'm going to use my little double tree here and press down. And you can see where any of the paint came out. I have it on the edge of my plate. But for little tags or cutouts, these are perfect. Now you can try and burnish this again and see if you can get another image. A ghost print is what it's called. There still seems to be a little bit of pigment on that plate. So let's see what we can come up with. It might not work. It's kind of exciting to see what happens if it does. And very faint images. Kind of interesting. We could work with them. So for this one, I have a combination of red and pink. I'm taking my template that I've already used, setting it down, and burnishing that. Get a really cute result. Here's the ghost print from that. I kind of like that. And here's the back of our template. It's quite beautiful. I can use this in my mixed media work. And let's do one more before we start embellishing the images we've already created. So here we have a green tree, not very traditional, not a traditional green, but certainly more traditional than a blue or a pink tree. Again, we go through all the procedures and you get a beautiful result. I still have some more paint there, so let's see what we can get for the ghost print for this one. And you can see I took a lot more off, and I love that image. Very cute. And here's the stencil. So now I want to give all of my trees a moment to dry. I'm going to clean my gel plate and put it away. So I just go over and remove any excess paint from the gel plate. And then I'll take those plastic pieces and just attach it to either side. And now I can store my gel plate until I'm ready to use it next time. I'm going to clean up my surface, set aside my templates, my scrap papers to use for another project, and then we'll come back and enhance all of these trees. So now that we have all of our trees, let me show you some ways you can use them. I painted them further. I'll show you that technique in a moment. I combined them, and now I have a beautiful header for my journal page. You could make the trees any size, any color combination. It's just a nice little grouping that adds so much more to your page. It's handmade, and it's the colors you chose. I took another one of those trees and just cut it out. Didn't leave any white exposed, and then with a marker pen I just outlined it. And again, this would make great use in a journal or collage. You can even use this as a gift tag. Which brings me to my last one, where I left the tree intact right on that paper that we printed it on. I punched a hole right in the top, added some ribbon, and then I had painted the tree. And I'll show you that technique. There's just so many fun ways to do that. So there's so many variations you can get using those finished products. So before we start painting, I wanted to show you the 3 ghost print images that we did. I just think they're so beautiful. They're unusual. They aren't perfect images, but they're very intriguing. Doesn't necessarily look like trees either. These are great to use embellished further with outlines and maybe some very archaic symbols. I think, oh, that'd be beautiful. I can't wait to work on these off camera. But for these trees, I have all my craft paint colors that I used in the trees themselves. And now I'm just going to embellish it. I'll speed this along so you can see the process. But I just take 2 paintbrushes. I'm not even concerned with the brush part. I'm just using the rounded bottoms. And then I have a paper towel to clean it. Couldn't be simpler. I'll start with one color paint and just dip it all the way around. You could make particular designs. You can just be haphazard. Really, whatever goes. Gives such beautiful results. You can go just simple colors, or you can really go to town and use all your colors. Now you can do thin little strings of lights. You could make thick colors. Really, anything goes. That's the beauty of this project. It's just about finding colors that you like. If you make a batch of these and use the same colors, regardless of how often you use them or the combinations you use them, you'll get a nice little series that you can use in your journals or your work, or even hang on your tree. Now for the last two tags, I just want to play with just some black outlining. So I think I'll just outline the tags just with a series of lines and dots. And now you can cut out the tags if you want them, or just leave them plain. And these are the finished trees from the workshop. These are the ones that I just dabbed a little bit of spots on to make something indicative of lights or ornaments. Then I did a little more work on these where I either outlined it or added some ink. And these are the dual tags here from the dual tree, the double tree stencil. Again, just with a simple outline. I also wanted to show you my favorites, which were these ghost prints. So I created a Zentangle-like thing here, just with a repeated pattern inside this ghost print. With this one, I just outlined it and I let the beauty of that really interesting result shine through. And then over here, I couldn't help but turn that into a cute little chicken. And I have a simple little tree. I hope you found this workshop helpful in case you're curious about gel printing and how easy it is to create beautiful Christmas images, creating your own stencils just from cardstock and paper. It's a really fun and affordable art form. So that's how I gel print Christmas trees to use in my work. I use acrylic paint, my good old gel plate, and then I create my own stencils. Depending on the colors of paint you use, you'll get completely different results, all of them stunning. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. And if you'd like additional content, please consider becoming a paid member of my channel. For a small monthly fee, you'll get additional videos, behind-the-scenes content, and posts that are curated specifically for my members. Thanks for joining me today.